Hello, hello, hello. Give me a second. I gotta make sure this is actually working. I'm starting a little bit early. That's okay. But I just want to make sure this is working, and then we'll get going. But I'm just looking at my other screen real quick. You guys may already be seeing this. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, it's working. It's working. All right. Yeah, we're starting a little bit early, just a couple minutes early, purely because I wanted to. I just wanted to answer more questions. Let me wait. Give me 1 second. I was supposed to do this earlier. I should have gotten on. Let me mute this. I should have. You guys can still hear me, right? Yeah, you guys should still hear me. But in like an hour. In 5 minutes. I'm going to be going on a date with my wife, which is why I'm looking nice today, if you consider this looking nice. But I can't run over. Like sometimes I'll go like an hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes. We'll probably just do like an actual hour this time. But let me get over just so I can see the questions. I should have done this earlier. I did not. And I apologize. All right, let me just, there we go. I'll mute that, unmute this. Go down. Hey everybody. I see a ton of people in there in the chat already. Hey everybody. What's going on? I'm finally getting set up. It took me a second. It always takes me a while. But listen, we got an hour and 5 minutes or so-ish. So let's just dive into questions. If you guys have never been to one of these before, thanks for coming. This is pretty simple. I do this once a month. We have people who are members of the channel who, support the channel, and this is my way of giving back. And I don't just give back to the people who, support the channel with like a couple bucks a month, which is super appreciated. I just want to do this for everybody. And so I don't, only do it for them, but they are the reason why we're able to do something like this. And so thank you guys to everyone who supports the channel. Really, really appreciate it. But I just come in here and I answer questions. Any Q&A, any question, it can be about any topic really, although I do filter them. So if it's like a weird question, I just skip it. But I answer questions about myself, about data analytics, about the data, market, about hiring, interviewing, me personally, if you have a personal question, I'll answer just about anything except like weird stuff. So you guys can go ahead and start, if you have any questions, start putting them in the chat. And I just kind of filter through and I go as quick as I can. Sometimes we have way too many questions and I just can't keep up, but I'll do my best, I promise you. But let me just go through here real quick. See if people are saying hi. Hey, Sumi. Let me see. Hamid, Farshid. I'm not good with names and I typically ruin them, but just know that it comes from a good place. Joel, hey, how's it going? Audio's good, perfect. Billy, thanks. This is not a new shirt, but my wife got this for me at Goodwill, and I love it. It's one of my favorite shirts. Goodwill's where it's at. All right, so let me start actually answering some questions. I'm just saying hi to people. But let's see. Let's see. What are the basic skill sets to become a data analyst? So the basic skill sets, and this is something that I've talked about a ton on my channel, so go and check more in-depth videos. But I think SQL and Excel are like the bread and butter. Like you definitely need to know those. And then after that, it's different stuff as well. So, if you want to learn a Power BI or a Tableau, like a data visualization tool, as well as a ton of others, you can learn those. I've started recommending people start to learn cloud platforms like AWS and Azure. I just think those are going to be even more of a sought after skill and needed. But it isn't 100% needed as an entry level analyst. Most companies hire on and then they teach you that, but it's better if you know it already. But those are some of the, and then Python if you want to, R and Python. Those are kind of more advanced in my opinion. All right, let's keep going. Which Google data analytics certification do you prefer as a beginner? Honestly, those ones are, if you're like a complete beginner, those ones are good. But the base level one that they created, the Google Data Analytics one, not the advanced one, that one is just really good for entry level people, understanding concepts, understanding the basics of skills, like the basics of skills. So it is good, but it is, I'm seeing I don't know what that that thing is, but it looks cool. But those are like the basics. The advanced one is really good, but it's all Python focused, so you don't really learn any SQL and stuff. But I personally love Python. I checked out that course quite a bit. Took a bit of it as well, and it was really good. The Geek Surgeon, thanks for donating, man. You don't have to do that, but I really appreciate it. Will you have a mock interview module for your bootcamp? I don't, but I should do that. That's a really great suggestion. That's a really good suggestion. I'll look into. I'm gonna write that down on my list. And then Billy Thomas Aldroy. Oh, hey, what's going on, man? Long time no talk. You didn't have to donate, man. I appreciate it, though. Thank you. That was really kind of you. All right, let me keep going. Let me see. Let's see. Good morning, Bensar. Good morning. How's it going? Let's see. It's hard. I gotta filter through these questions live. So I gotta. Please talk about statistics. So Severus Snape's Bay, great name. Yeah, statistics is definitely one of those concepts that's really tough to nail down, because statistics is just one of those things that you use kind of across data analytics, but it's for most people you're using some type of tool, right? So you're not just going to be handwriting or free writing any types of statistics. If you're doing a heavy data analytics, a data analytics job that's heavy in statistics, you're going to be using tools like SAS or even a tool like SPSS. So these statistics heavy software. And so if you are wanting to learn statistics, those are great tools to learn. Other than that, when you're using other tools like Python and SQL and Excel, you're using a lot of functions or a lot of grouping aggregations, then you're using aggregate functions. So things like mean, median, mode, sum, max, min, averages, these types of things. Those are the majority of what you use, especially when you're first starting out. Now, as you get more advanced in your career, as your projects start getting more advanced, then you're going to start using what I would consider more advanced statistics. And so that's when I would start looking at things like SAS and SPSS. That's my recommendation to you. But there's so many concepts, there's so many other things, so I'm not going to dive into all of them, but excuse me. But that's my recommendation. All right, my thing just skipped down. Hey, Matthew, thanks for joining. Matthew's he's my moderator. I always appreciate him when he comes and moderates for us. But thanks for being here, Matthew. I appreciate it. All right, let me see. Billy said, appreciate all you do for the analyst community. Thank you. I appreciate you. I really do. Next question is, and this is one that's crazy popular. I hear this I get messaged every single day, either email, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, every single day. They say, will the data analyst profession be replaced by AI? I have a completely all-encompassing video on this. I put that out several months ago, and I'm even more confident in it now that data analysis is only going to grow over the next several years, especially things like data engineering, data science, data analysis. I think these domains are going to be really big in the next 5 years. Reason being is most companies are not large tech companies. Most companies are your typical company that's using SQL and Excel and basic tools. Now, these companies are going to want to and going to need to, in order to keep up with the markets and all these advancements in technology, these companies are going to have to do things they've never done, like create a data team or hire on people to actually analyze their data and give them insights and use AI tools. This is where people like you and me are going to come in, where all these smaller companies who have never really had a dedicated data team now absolutely are going to have one in order to keep up. And so in the next 5 years, I think we're going to see a large boom in all of those jobs, data engineering, data science, data analysis, especially in freelancing and consulting. So, just one person kind of going into a company and then growing it from there. And so someone like me, because that's what I do now, I do consulting, I go into companies and they're like, hey, what do? We want to utilize data. We want to utilize AI. How do we do that? I kind of help work through that. But I haven't seen anybody, and I've worked with a lot of different companies now, I haven't seen anybody be like, we want to replace, this person with AI. It hasn't even been a topic of conversation, because we're so far at the beginning, it's not even like an option for 99.999% of companies. So I think we're actually going to see quite a big boom in data. It's like they have the data boom in the early 2000s. That with the internet and like especially with social media around like 2007 through 2015, like that was a huge boom in data. Now we're getting another resurgence with that with AI. So I think that's my opinion. I really do think it's going to be an even bigger industry in the next 5 years. We're just hitting kind of a slump because everyone's like really not unsure about AI right now. And the markets aren't doing great and there's war. And so yeah, there's a lot of factors that are affecting the market. So I wouldn't look at today's market as what's going to happen for the next 5 years. I really do think it's going to grow a lot. Let's see. Farshid, the more on statistics, he was saying essential for data analysis. I don't mean simple subjects like mean, median, or I mean some advanced topics like variance analysis, 11 test, t-test. Those things are all, yes, those are included in what I was talking about. In software like SAS and SPSS, they do those types of things. So yes, as you get more advanced, those are the types of things. I just didn't want to dive into those topics. But yes, those are the types of things that you could use in statistics for data analysis. Shivani said, hey, Alex, for entry-level data analyst, how can I proceed further? Please suggest really what it needs to be covered. I have 100 videos on this, so I'm not going to dive into it too much. But I have a video called How to Become a Data Analyst in 2023. It literally lays out exactly what you need to learn, exactly what you need to do. That's what I would, that's what I'd be looking at. Amari, hey, thanks for the donation. You didn't have to do that. I really do appreciate it. Said, you believe in the bootcamp to become a data scientist, or that you would recommend me? I'm not a huge fan of data boot camps. I have a free one, and I do recommend that one. That's completely different, though. But I'm guessing you're talking about things like Springboard or like all these other ones. And there's 1,000 data science, data analyst boot camps out there, 1,000 of them. 99% of them I do not like because they're expensive. They can be $5,000 all the way up to $20,000. Most of them don't have a job guarantee. Most of the curriculum is kind of behind and not very good because they don't update it. And so it's just like data boot camps, in my opinion, are not great. They work out well for some people, but there's a a lot of people that I've talked to, they have issues with boot camps because they take them and then they never get a job for whatever reason, and they don't get their money back. And so it's kind of a scammy, some of them, not all of them, are kind of scammy where they're just not super trustworthy and they just are really doing it to make money, and then they churn you out of there as quick as possible to get the next group in to pay money. It's just not a great business model, in my opinion. It kind of pushes and leans more towards the towards a scam. So yeah, I don't have any recommendations, but mine is free on YouTube, and it just goes through a lot of great stuff. So that one I can recommend. How can you find projects? Yagnesh said, how to find projects for data science and data analytics. One of the best places that I've had like inspiration for getting cool projects or doing cool projects is Kaggle. Kaggle, you can go there and you can take a look at, you get free data sets on there, but then also you can go and check out people's projects that they've built themselves. I found just inspiration from that because I'll look at this data set. I'm like, I don't know what I'd want. This isn't my area of expertise. So what would I do with this? And I'll go and look through projects that people have made. Then I'm like, oh, okay. They were going more towards the they were trying to find correlation between the things. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Or this person's trying to find, they're doing time series forecast for the future. Like these types of things. I'm like, okay. And then I kind of get inspiration. That's a great place to look. And I also have a ton of projects on my channel where I literally guide you through it and walk you through it, and you can then go on and build even bigger and better things. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. The Sam Shekwat. I don't know how to Shekwat. I have completed projects from your YouTube channel. I'm gonna move this so I can look more forward. I completed projects from your YouTube, and I'm also doing an internship, awesome, but I haven't gotten a proper interview from any company. Can you suggest anything that I'm doing wrong? So in general, and this is just like general advice, but if you're not getting interviews, it's typically your resume. right? Because that's what all they're going to see typically before they invite you for an interview. Now, if you're getting a lot of interviews and then you're failing, it's because you're not doing well in the interviews. That's a totally different thing. So I would recommend revamping your resume. Just released a video like a couple weeks back on creating a data analyst resume that gets through those automated systems, how to write it, how to include your projects, everything. I'd go and check that out. But that's what I would say. If I could pinpoint it just based off what you said, I would say it's probably your resume, because you need a good resume to get through those automated systems, then a recruiter's hands, and then get an interview. Why don't I ever talk about the modern data stack, Tobiloba? I do talk about the modern data stack. I think the modern data stack is, first off, every data stack at every company is different. I've worked at many companies. I've consulted with a lot more companies. Every company is extremely different. A few things that are typically in common between all of them is they're going to use Excel. So everybody needs to know Excel. Everybody has some type of database. Now, there are so many different types of databases. SQL is a very popular one, but some companies don't use SQL at all. Excuse me. Some use ones that are, what are they called? They're not ERPs, are they? Now no, it's not ERP. I'm forgetting what it's called. But there's different types of storage for data. It doesn't just have to be a SQL database, but most of them will be some type of a relational database. Now, the reason I tell people ever want to learn SQL is because SQL is pretty transferable to all these different types of databases. And if you know SQL, you can then go and learn that other type of database very quickly because you understand how to retrieve and query data. And so the modern data stack is very, very different across all companies. Some are using cloud-based platforms. Some are using on-prem databases. Some are using, your typical tools like Tableau and Power BI, where other ones are using these really niche products for their domain. So I can't nail down a specific data stack, but typically it's Excel, SQL, data visualization tool, maybe Python or R, cloud platform, maybe Databricks, and then there's others as well. So that stuff is still very relevant. It hasn't changed too much since I've started making videos. Although I think cloud platforms have just become more popular and more of a needed thing for people to learn. Thanks, Billy. Hey, thanks for joining, man. He said, back to work for me. Have a great day in broadcast. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Let's see. Nick Weaver, I polished my resume, have a portfolio made, and continue to make projects. That's awesome. And I've been applying to countless jobs to no avail, right? Any suggestions to land an interview? So that's really, it happens all the time. That happened to me all the time. My biggest question, and answer me and I'll hopefully catch up to it later, but are you working with any type of recruiter? And also, where do you live? If you have a great resume, you have really good projects, you're working on projects, you're making progress, typically it's how you're applying to these jobs. And so I do have a video that I just released on how to reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn. That is a great place to look to know how to reach out to recruiters. Recruiters are the best way to get a job. I'm 100% convinced. I've landed most of my jobs through recruiters. I applied to thousands of jobs before I started working with recruiters and had such a low success rate. It was really depressing. It was very demoralizing to me. Then I started working with recruiters and it's like magic. And it's hard to work with recruiters, but it's kind of a game of persistence. Let's keep going. Good morning, all. Like to stay, but I'm going to have back surgery in 2 hours. Soloria Saxon. Oh my goodness. Well, I really appreciate you tuning in, but I really genuinely hope your surgery goes well. Shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I want to know how you're doing. That's not fun. I've had surprising amount of people I know who have been having back surgeries, and even my parents. I hope they're not listening, but might need in the near future some back surgeries. So I really feel for you. That's not easy. Hi, Alex. To become a data analyst, what really do I need to know and covered comprehensively? Check out my data analyst bootcamp. Check that out. That is what I recommend everybody take because it's free and it goes like it genuinely is better than a lot of paid things. You can go on, I'll take a lot of Udemy courses. You can take a lot of Coursera courses. And I promise you, because I've taken almost all of them, it's too many of them. my free stuff is better than most of that stuff. So take that stuff first. And I don't know if you guys saw my LinkedIn post or Twitter post today, but we're going to be starting a wait list for my own data analyst learning platform called Analyst Builder. The wait list is going to be next week. We're opening it up. So if you want early access to the platform where I have full courses that go even more, like probably 2 to 3 times more in depth into these skills that I have in my data analyst bootcamp, but now they're going to be on the website. So that's like crazy exciting. But yeah, just check out my bootcamp for sure. Okay, this is a good one. Bava Darini. Hello. Where does one start if you have zero clue about anything data analytics? So if you're literally starting from scratch, you don't even really know what data analytics is. You just know that you've heard it's a good job, that it's you can work remote and it's good pay. That's okay, right? I was once there too. I wanted a good job that was remote and all these things. And so if you're looking for a completely beginner place to start, I actually think the Google Data Analytics certificate is pretty good. My bootcamp is amazing, right? It's super good, but I don't really cover a lot of like the jargon and what is data analytics? How does it work? What are the concepts? All of these things. I think the Google Data Analytics certificate actually covers a lot of that pretty well. And I took the whole thing. So I actually think it covers it quite well. It's like $40 a month or something like that. So try to take it quick because I don't want you to pay like $200. I think $40 is plenty. So that would be my recommendation, or start with my bootcamp. You'll just kind of dive into the skills really early though. You kind of want to understand like what data analytics is and then dive into the skills, in my opinion. But that's a good place to start. Musa, oh geez, Musa, you had a question and my thing skipped down. Let me go back. I'm going to find you. I think my wife just got home. We're going on a date. I know a lot of people joined. We're going on a date in 45 minutes, so I can't do my normal thing where I go over by like an hour, because usually I'll do like 2 hours of these live streams. I'm still trying to find that. Here we go. I found it, Musa. Normally I'll go like 2 hours, but I can't do that today. I'm going on a date with my wife. I'm sure you guys can understand. I'm sure of it. Musa said, what do you think? Is it difficult to move from a data analyst to a data scientist? Fantastic question. Let me get some. I spilled some water. I'm just going to wipe it with my hand. That works. It is a much easier transition than trying to learn everything and become a data scientist. I'm going to give you my personal experience. And I've also met a ton of people who have become a data scientist from a data analyst. So my experience was, I was working on a data science team. I was a data analyst working with data collection and data cleaning and all that stuff. And we had a data science team. Now, under the data science team, we had multiple data scientists, data engineers, database developers, business analysts, data analysts. It was a whole thing. As a data analyst, I was working with the data engineers and the data scientists quite a bit. As I started to learn more, started to get more advanced, I was practicing on the side machine learning models and all these things. Now, there was a point where they offered me a job saying, hey, Alex, we really like what you're doing. We want you to become a data scientist. And the pay was going to be a little bit better. I was going to be a junior data scientist, so it wasn't going to be like that much better. Yeah, my wife is home. And I had the ability to transition into data science. I personally didn't do that because I just didn't like the machine learning stuff. That was not my thing. I like the data analysis side. I really liked it. That's why I do what I do now. But I had that opportunity because I started off as a data analyst. I learned a lot of the fundamentals of SQL, Excel, and then Python. Python became a big one that they really were looking for. And so from personal experience, I can tell you that you can absolutely make that transition, especially if you're working at a company that already has data scientists in that company. I think that is the best way to do it. And that is the number one way that I've seen people make that transition. Some people are just a data analyst for 4, 5, 6 years, and then they work on these projects, they create these, all these projects with machine learning, and then they're able to make that transition. But it's just not as common in my opinion. This is a great question. And I really like this question. Give me a second. I'm about to butcher this name, and I apologize. I really respect you, but I just Akperojire. That's like semantics. Like I'm reading exactly how Akperojay. I'm doing my best. Hi, what are your thoughts on picking a niche as a data analyst? I am all about picking a niche. I have a video or two on this topic because I think that's what really propelled me farther in my career and helped me make a lot more money. So if you want to go far in your career and make more money, picking a niche is important. So how do you do it? Well, my degree, thank you, Matthew. Matthew's on it, man. This is why I have Matthew at these things, and he graciously comes to them because he keeps people in line. That's what I'm talking about. Lay down the law, Matthew. Picking a niche is really important. I have a background in healthcare. So I have a degree in recreational therapy. I worked in hospitals before that as like an intern, and then I worked in a behavioral health hospital. So I understand like that side of working with things. So I was able to use that to transition into healthcare analytics, which I always recommend people trying to use their background if they're trying to switch careers. Now, when I did that, I became an expert in a few different areas within healthcare. Things like MIPS reporting, if you've ever heard of that, is for Medicare. Things like claims data, ICD codes, CPT codes. I became what I would consider a subject matter expert, a SME. And so when I did that, when I was transitioning into my next jobs, they were really impressed with my in-depth knowledge of that niche, of that domain. So I was able to get promoted really fast because of that, as well as my technical skills, of course. But, knowing that domain is really important. So I would just recommend, for your first job, if you have no experience, you're right out of college, no domain, try to think of something you'd like, whether it's finance or healthcare or something. Try to get into it and then build your knowledge in that niche. But picking a niche is important. I really, truly believe that for long-term success. Evil Hero Neos is commenting on something I said earlier. He said, I did Springboard with a job guarantee. Definitely don't recommend. It's mediocre at best. I applied to over 600 jobs and didn't get a single interview. Have a MSc, is that a master's? A master's in math too. I haven't dived into Springboard. Springboard has been wanting to sponsor me for like 2 years. They have messaged me for 2 years wanting to sponsor me. And I don't let them sponsor me because I've just heard too many bad things about Springboard and a ton of others. I get data analyst bootcamps reach out to me every day. You would not believe, offering me like $5,000 for like one shout out on your YouTube video. And I say no. If I don't believe in it, I don't let them sponsor the channel. The only one that I've let sponsor the channel that's a data analyst bootcamp is, oh gosh, what's it called? Oh, now I'm going to lose my mind if I don't remember this. Just wait. I'm going to look it up real quick because I'm going to Career Foundry. The only reason I like Career Foundry is one, they have personalized mentors. And this is not like a promotion for them. They're not paying me to say this, but I like them because they have their mentors are pretty good. Their curriculum is pretty good as well. I wish it went a little bit more in depth. But the third thing is that it's genuinely for a boot camp, it's affordable. It's like $5,000 compared to most other boot camps that are double, which is $10,000. So that's like the only one that I've personally ever recommended. And that's because I genuinely think that for the money, and then they have a job guarantee as well. So for the money, I think they're not bad. Let's keep going. But thank you for that insight though. That's good for people to hear about. That's a good one. Mill Spotter. Hey Alex, I start my first data analytics job on Tuesday. That's what's up. What are your biggest tips for hitting the ground running and making a good impression? That's an amazing question. I'm going to tell you what I did to make a really good impression and to kind of like start becoming noticed and like making an impact. And I'm going to tell you what not to do. And this is what I did with my very, very first job. So when I joined the Fortune 500 company as a junior data analyst, it was my second like real-time data analyst job. Here's what I did to make a really great impression that got me promoted like just really fast. The first thing I did is I spent time getting to know everyone on the team. So I didn't do that. I think I did it intentionally, but I also just wanted to do it. But I would recommend getting to know the people on your team, whether it's your manager, whatever data people on your team, data scientists, data analysts, business analysts, get to know them. Don't be afraid to ask questions, right? They know you're beginning. If you don't know where a database is or a data source or whatever, ask questions. Second thing, really learn the systems that they have in place quickly. So if they have a database, go in there, look around, start querying it a little bit, just mess around with the data just to understand what it is you're working with and where the data sits. And then you're going to want to start taking on small projects, like pretty quickly. Just say, hey, I've gotten through, I've looked through, your onboarding stuff if they have any. I'm ready to start doing stuff. Let's get started and start making that impression. Once you're there for like 2 months, that's what you should be doing for like 2 months, is getting onboarded, talking to people, getting to know people, taking on small projects. After that, start looking for ways that you can help out in the business or in your team that nobody else is doing. For example, what I did was I noticed that we were doing everything manually. And I was like, we could automate so much of this. So I did that. I was like, let's try to automate some of this. And I started using Python and automating a ton of it. Sorry, I'm getting messages from a bunch of people about Analyst Builder because I just posted this morning. If you check out my LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter and everything about Analyst Builder, it's really, really cool. But I'm just getting a ton of messages about it. So, but yeah, that's my biggest tip. My biggest tip is to get to know people. Really just try to learn as quickly as possible, like their processes and their procedures, and then start looking for opportunities to enhance what they already have. Let's see. Is Python a regme for life? I don't know what that means. Is Python a prerequisite for data analyst job preparation? If yes, what level should I reach to? No, it's not a job requirement. I have it in my data analyst bootcamp because I love Python. And I want more people to use it. So I kind of force them to learn it. And then later on, they're like, oh, geez, Alex, you forced me to learn this skill that's making me more money. I'm so upset about it. No one's ever said that. Python is not a prerequisite. I would say you need to know SQL, Excel, and a BI tool. Those are the 3 things that you need, I would say need, in order to really be confident, starting to apply to jobs. Python is an addition. I didn't start using Python until 2 years into it being a data analyst. And most jobs don't require or use Python, but even in my second job where nobody was using it, I started learning it myself and wanting to use it. Cause you guys know me. I got a passion for it. So I was like, I want to use this. So no, not needed. Let's see. There's a ton of questions, but I'm skipping some because I've already answered some of these. What is the website to see the project? I don't know what that means. I'm looking for Nithin, and this is about Analyst Builder. He said, hi, Alex, just saw your recent tweet about the beta launch of Analyst Builder. What will the pricing be? Can you share more information about the courses? So this is just a beta launch. We're gonna be doing a beta launch, and I'll have a wait list next, probably like next Wednesday or Thursday. We'll be launching the wait list where you can get early access. So in the beta, you're gonna get like a 30% discount on all the courses. We're only going to start with 4 courses, although we already have more that are being made or edited right now by my editor. So there's going to be, by the end of the year, I'll have like 8, 9 courses on there. These courses are going to be priced around like $30. I'm trying to keep it affordable, but I'm also hosting all my own videos, hosting the whole website. I'm not using anything. We coded it from scratch with my web dev team. So everything you see is like coded from scratch to be as quick and as good as possible. So I didn't want any dependencies on existing platforms that weren't that great. And so I could have done it all really quickly, but we didn't. We did it all. It took a little bit longer because we wanted to make it really well. But the pricing is like $30 for a course. It's just a one-time fee. Right now, we're not going to do a monthly subscription, although I probably could make more money doing it that way. I just wanted people, I like the Udemy style, where you can buy a course and access it forever. I wanted everyone else to have that as well on my platform. And so that's how it's gonna be. I'm, again, gonna try to make it pretty affordable because I would feel horrible charging like $100 or $200 for a course. It drives me insane when people do that. So you're gonna keep that affordable. We also have so if you ever looked at like LeetCode or, there's others that are like interview questions. The interview questions will have a subscription, but it's going to be really cheap. Again, trying to make it really affordable, but it's like, these are some of the best courses I've ever made or seen online. And the questions page are the best questions, the best interface that I've ever seen. Like, I tried to make everything better than every other platform I've ever used. That is what I'm going for with this platform. Like, I poured my heart and soul into this. And so, yeah, we'll have a wait list and we're going to be launching it in September. So crazy excited about it. I'm not going to go, I could talk about it for hours. I'm not going to. I'll make a video on it. He said, I just, this is Barrett 25. I just recently found your data analyst bootcamp and I've just started going through it. There's 3 data guys where I work, so I doubt I can move up soon, but have people gotten jobs after your course? I don't talk about it a lot, and I think I should, because a lot of people ask me that. They're like, is this enough to get an entry-level data analyst job? I have had probably over 100 people just messaging me. Now, there could be more, but I have 100 people or so that I've kind of like mentally kept track, where they've messaged me on LinkedIn, especially. That's where most people reach out to me. And they'll message me and be like, Alex, I literally didn't spend any money. I took just your course and I was able to get a job. And so yes, it absolutely can. You can get a job with just those things. And what's great about the bootcamp is it isn't just learning the technical skills. It's also learning about, how to write a resume, how to create a free portfolio. Like, everything on there is free. It's just, I wish I had that when I was first starting out. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty great. And so you might, and I don't want to keep talking about it, but you might be asking, why am I making Analyst Builder when I already have a data analyst bootcamp that's free? The data analyst bootcamp is free. It is meant for anybody to be able to access around the world completely for free. But because of the nature of the way I made them, I didn't dive into every topic crazy in depth, which that's what I'm doing on Analyst Builder. We're diving really deep into these things, and you'll learn a lot more tips and tricks that I've learned and use about just a ton of different things. And so Analyst Builder just goes much more in depth. And so if you're really wanting to like really get good at these skills, then that's where I'd go. But you can learn so much from that free data analyst bootcamp. Philip Baumgartner. Hey, Baumgartner, there's a character on The Office, Baumgartner. I don't know if that's the same spelling, but he transferred from Utica to Scranton. That's just I don't know what I'm talking about. Philip said, "Hi Alex, how important is it to have a bachelor's degree in any field for becoming a data analyst? My best wishes from AT." Is that Atlanta or like a different country? Could be a different country. Yeah, ATL is Atlanta. I'm guessing AT is somewhere else. I should know this. How important is a bachelor's degree? A bachelor's degree is really useful. Most jobs require a bachelor's degree. Now, some actually require it, like you have to have a bachelor's degree, and some it's just like, we would like you to have a bachelor's degree, right? So it definitely helps get past that barrier. Like, there's a bunch of barriers. A first barrier is, location. Another barrier is education. So there's all these. Hey, baby. Just doing my live stream. Rosie can come in if she wants. But there's just all these barriers. And so education is one of those barriers that you can overcome. Oh, there's Rosie. I'll pick her up if she wants to be picked up. Hi.
You can't see yourself on here.
No, you can see yourself right here. Look. Oh, actually, you can see yourself right here too.
No, I was gonna say I don't see myself. Oh.
There you go. That's the wife. I told them I had no. I kept it open because it was hot in here. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I told them though that we were going on a date, and so that's why I was dressed up today, and that also why I can't run super over today. Oh, yeah, the people do need more Hawaiian shirts. I did not see that. I have too many comments. I miss them sometimes. I'm sorry. Yeah. But yeah, bachelor's degree is just one of those things that if you have it, it's great to have. If you don't, I still know people who have just a high school diploma who've been able to become a data analyst. They just got to hustle a lot more, in my opinion. Rishi Joshi said, hi, I know SQL, or he didn't say hi. He didn't say hi. He said, I know SQL, Python, Cloud. Will it be good to start a career as a data engineer? You could, depends on what you know with those tools. Because I know SQL, Python, and Cloud, but I don't think I could become a data engineer. So you need to know certain things within those tools. Within SQL, know how to ingest and create data pipelines, that with Python and Cloud as well. Know how to ingest data pipelines, know how to create data schemas, know a little bit of data architecture. Those are the types of things that you'll need to know, as well as data cleaning. You'll need to know those things. You can't just know those things and be able to be a data engineer. You know what I mean? Like there's certain concepts that you need to know. But yeah, if you keep going and you know those things, then yeah, probably. Pilot Sensei, this is an interesting one. He said, hi, he's a university professor for a decade. Lots of stats with SPSS, which is what we talked about earlier. Many peer-reviewed quant papers, but just now learning SQL, Python, Tableau to transition to data analysis. Now, my wife is reading comments, and somebody apparently somewhere in the comments, I'll answer that in a second, Pilot. They said, how do I keep my hairstyle on point? I don't know how to answer that question. What level role should I target? Now, if you've already been a university professor, you're using these things, you're doing research, I'm just guessing your education. You probably either have a master's or a PhD. So you can probably target senior level roles probably with your experience. Now, because especially if you're going into something you have domain knowledge in, that's when you can start targeting senior level, even like, you can even research analyst, there are research analyst positions. There's a lot of positions that you can do. And I would recommend probably looking more senior level-ish, in my opinion. I have issues downloading MySQL and Mac. Bajule, I recognize that name, by the way. I'm pretty sure you comment on a bunch of, I think it's my YouTube stuff, maybe YouTube and LinkedIn. I recognize that name. But I don't, it's hard to know. I would just try to, ask the online community, because you need screenshots and a bunch of other stuff to try to figure that out if it's not working. Christian G said, can't believe I wasted my time with college. Oh, college didn't teach me anything. Thank you for actually teaching me. You are most welcome. I don't use a lot of my college education for what I do. I am convinced, and I've said this before, I'm convinced that if I did not have a bachelor's degree, I could be exactly where I am today. I'm convinced of it. I actually considered going back and getting a master's like 3 years ago. And then I was like, I don't think I need it. I think it's going to be more about my skills and experience and domain knowledge. And I was right. So my dog and my cat are about to fight. I'm more convinced now than ever that education is, even in the next, I would say it's going to take a while, but in the next like 10 years, it'll be a lot less important. It'll be more about what you know how to use, like how to use these skills, rather than education. Okay. I'm catching up. Oh, not catching up that great. GB19, hey, thanks for the donation. You didn't have to do that. You have a video on how to upload code to GitHub. I don't know if I do. I mean, it's on my list to make a whole video on GitHub and then Git. So I'm going to be making 2 videos on that. But yeah, create a repository and then add your files. That's literally all you have to do. It's pretty easy, but there's of course a bunch more things, right? But there you go. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew's in here. He's doing the hard work. Which one's easier to find a job, data scientist or data analyst? Probably data analyst. Data science is just more technical. They usually require more of a more advanced degree, like a bachelor's in something: statistics, mathematics, software engineering, computer science. Whereas typically with data analysis, that's not as important. So they're more technical, and they usually require a more advanced degree, and they get paid more. So it's going to be a little bit tougher in my opinion. Okay, and hey, Matthew, I appreciate you getting onto Mr. June. I do, but I will answer his question anyways because I'm a good person. Okay, I'll let it slide this time. You do it again though, you're out of here. As many people are learning data analyst skills, and at the same time AI is growing rapidly, so the data analyst jobs are going to be huge? Question mark. How to know ourselves we are good enough at a particular skill? So I talked about this earlier in the stream, so I'll kind of briefly cover it again. But I think AI is going to is already creating another big boom in data, especially at mid-size and smaller companies that have never had a data infrastructure or data team in place. They're going to need to adapt to the changing ecosystem of AI and implement these things to stay up with their competitors who are going to start using AI, right? So a lot of these companies are going to want to grow with this, but they don't have the expertise. That's where a lot of data professionals, data analysts, scientists, engineers are going to start freelancing, going into these companies, building up infrastructure, and then building teams within these companies. Because you can't just have AI running by itself. Especially not in the near future will that happen. So in the next 5 years, I think there's going to be a big boom again. Maybe after the slight recession, especially in the United States, we're going through like a slight recession, I would say. When we start getting out of that recession and there's a big boom in the economy again, we're going to see so many companies that have never hired data teams hire data teams. So with AI, here's what I recommend. I firmly believe you still need to know these skills well. I've used AI ever since it came out, and I've used them in real projects. And there have been so many times where I'm like, this approach that AI is giving me is not a good approach. It's going to cause the system to be slower. It's going to do this or that. That came with experience, right? And so knowing those things really helped me utilize AI. But I'm telling you, if I did not know, let's just say SQL, if I didn't know SQL really well when I was using AI, it was giving me a lot of recommendations that didn't make sense for the use case. And then I would prompt it and I'd be like, hey, I don't think this makes sense because of how it sits in the database or how the schema or how we're retrieving the data. Is there a better way to do this that's more efficient? And then it would kind of create it, and then I'd have to adapt it to what I was doing. So I still think you need to know these skills quite well. But AI is definitely a great tool. I've really liked using it. It isn't that magic, that silver bullet or magic pill or whatever you want to call it that a lot of people think it is. But it's still, you still need to know the skills to use the skills. Let's see. What is data cleaning? I'm the 99%er. Data cleaning is when you clean data. And it goes a lot more advanced than that, of course. I'm just joking. But I have a lot of videos on data cleaning, so go ahead and check those out. In every tool, I show you how to clean data. But data cleaning essentially is taking it from its raw state and then cleaning it and making it more useful, whether that's changing formatting, whether that's actually reshaping and pivoting the data. For whatever use case you have. And it is very dependent on the data itself, on what you're going to do with it and how you clean it. Coco CNX said, Alex, I'm from France, came in Canada. I have followed the path to become a data analyst, but I have been job hunting for 3 months. It is really hard. I am frustrated. Really sorry to hear that. 3 months is a long time. I totally get that. It took me about 6 months to land my first job. In Canada, I know they have, I don't know if you've been working with recruiters, highly recommend working with recruiters. You could even look at companies like, why all of a sudden do I forget things when I'm about to say them? There's companies like Accenture, TCS that hire people that are just starting out and make them consultants for their company. You can gain some experience. Depends on where you are, and location does matter. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, it depends on where you are, right? So middle of nowhere, it's gonna be harder to find a job. If you're in like a hustling, bustling city, work with some recruiters, try to have them help you land a job. Oh, this is a great question. George Mendez. George, this is something that I've told people to do before. So you're asking a person who's done this himself. And so this is a great question. This question says, what do you think about starting a startup and listing yourself as an employee at your own startup on your resume for your first job if you genuinely have a business that you want to create? Okay, I didn't do exactly this. Oh, jeez, I'm getting a lot of messages. I didn't do exactly this, but I did start my own company years ago, like 2 years ago, and I was, like the CEO of my own company, and I like put that on my resume and stuff. So I did do that. I do recommend it. So this exact use case, you have no experience. You create an LLC, you call it George Analytics. I'm just keeping it simple. Keep it George's Analytics. And you add yourself as a data analyst in your company. I do not think, I think if you are actually building things, if you actually can get like even just internship work or whatever you want to call it, I think that's still a really cool idea. Like if somebody came in as a hiring manager, and I was a hiring manager, I'm not right now, as a hiring manager, if I had seen that on someone's resume, I'd be like, oh, what did you do? They're like, well, I was working at this place. I really loved analytics. And I was like, I really like, this is my like passion. I know this is what I want to do. So I created this company. I started doing some work on Fiverr or Upwork or volunteering and started growing up a clientele. If you phrase it like that, that shows me a lot of initiative, a lot of hustle. That's somebody that I would like be really impressed with. So, I wouldn't use it to necessarily lie and be like, I've worked at this company for 3 years. I've been using these skills for 3 years. It could backfire on you, especially if you get in there and they're like, hey, you've worked as a data analyst for 3 years. You should know all these things, and you don't know them that well. It could backfire, but I think it's a really interesting idea. I genuinely do. Dawson Jenner, Alex, you got me into Maven Analytics. They are great, super grateful. Yes, Maven Analytics has some great stuff. I do like their stuff for sure. They're very course heavy, and it's just courses. Analyst Builder is going to have courses, but integrated into those courses is going to be that editor window where you can practice questions as you go and you kind of solidify those skills. So I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself and say it's going to be better. This is going to be a beta launch, but Maven Analytics, definitely recommend. They're great. They really are great. Limitless Queen. You can do anything you want to do. Yes, you can. Anyone out there can do anything they want to do. It takes hustle. Nem said, can I work fully remote from a third world country and a first world country, and how? Yes, it is absolutely possible. It takes a little bit of hustle, a little bit of grind, but I've worked with people from all over the world. Back on my team, we hired people from London, we hired people from Lithuania, from India, all sorts of places. And in India, there wasn't like Bangalore or like other major places. Like these are places that I looked up. They were very small places. The way that we had found some of these people were through like consulting companies, like they had worked with Accenture or TCS or some of these other ones. So they got connected with them and were able to then work with our team. And so that's one thing I can recommend is try to find some type of like consulting or recruiting company or I guess consulting company where you can kind of be outsourced for some of this work. You can also start working at like I was saying earlier, Fiverr, Upwork, start bidding, like putting in bids for work at a lower rate so you can gain some experience. And that's how you gain clientele, right? That's how you start like working with people repeatedly. Start working with one person one time, they like your work, they'll have more work for you in the future. All right, just so you know, we have 12 minutes. I'm going on a date with my wife in 12 minutes, so I can't stay longer. Although she may not be ready yet. So maybe I'll stop when she's ready. We'll see what she thinks about that. I've answered some of these questions, so I'm skipping some. How do I know so Andrew C, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. How do I know I am job ready for data analyst? I don't think anyone ever is like confident that they're job ready. It's hard to know, right? I think that if you know the skills and you know some of the topics. So like if you know some SQL, you don't have to go crazy in depth, just know up to like joins, right? If you know those skills, you know Excel, maybe a little bit of a Power BI, data visualization tool. I think that at that level, most entry-level data analyst jobs you should be ready for. No concepts like data cleaning, no concepts like, data manipulation or just data querying, how to query and retrieve data. These are simple things that go a long way, especially in an interview. These entry-level data jobs, they should not be hiring people with 10 years experience for these entry-level jobs. So if you can get in there and just say, hey, here's what I know, here's what I can do, and you have a good resume, like work with one of the resumes that I've created on my channel, I think you should be ready. I got my first job just knowing Excel and SQL at the healthcare analytics company. That's all they really wanted. They wanted someone who knew SQL. And I just kind of barely knew enough SQL. I even failed my technical interview at that place. They just really liked my personality. But if I had passed the technical interview, they wouldn't have had questions about me. They would have hired me on for sure. So don't overthink it too much. I think if you know those things, start applying while you learn. Start applying. I'm going to read it, but I'm not 100% sure on the answer. Mamata Kadam said, hi, I'm a senior BI developer with 14 years of experience with a master's in business intelligence or experience in MSBI. I don't know what that, Microsoft Power BI? I don't know. MSBI, if anyone knows that. I guess that's Microsoft Power BI. I don't know. .NET, major, MSBI. I want to move into being a data analyst. Can I get a job in that role? Will my experience matter? Absolutely, it'll matter. Absolutely, that'll be great experience to have. You have a lot of technical skills. I'm sure you have domain experience at this point. When I was in my last manager position, we made someone who was a data analyst. She wanted to become a BI developer. So you're a senior BI developer. So her skills translated to being a BI developer. She was our Power BI developer. And I'm very confident your skills will transfer as well. But of course, you also will need to add in there some SQL. I'm sure you've used Excel. But yes, that experience will help. And you definitely can get a job. I'm sure of it. Rizal Kabir said, is it necessary to know Azure or AWS as a beginner data analyst? You don't need to know it, although it is very helpful. And I think it's a good selling point for a lot of companies. So it's one of those skills that, because I'm about to do a tutorial series on both of these, Azure and AWS, maybe like a 4 or 5 part series. And I'm going to add that to my bootcamp because I do think it is worth knowing for sure. Let's see. Scrolling through questions. Rajat Gupta said, do you think IC, which is individual contributor role, is better for a managerial role as essential for growth with 10 years experience? I very, very dependent on what you want to do. I personally, when I became a manager, I liked it for the first several months, 6-7 months. And then I missed being hands-on. I missed writing the code. I missed building things. It wasn't for me. But that was definitely accelerating the growth of my career quite quickly. So if you're looking for growth and more money, managerial role is great. If you are like me and you want to be more hands-on, you want to like build things and that's what you want to do, you can still find manager titles that are individual contributors. When I was job hunting before I got my manager role, there was a job title called a data analytics manager, but it was an individual contributor role where I'd be building a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, the pay wasn't that great. It was like, let me restart that. The pay wasn't that much more than I was making then. And so I was like, I don't want to be, at that time, I wanted to be a people manager. I wanted to manage a team. And so, what was it for Walgreens? I think it was for Walgreens or, maybe it was Walgreens or one of those healthcare pharmaceutical companies. But I didn't want to be an individual contributor. I wanted to people manage. But knowing myself now, that individual contributor role would have been pretty good. I probably would have really liked that. Oh, geez, it skipped down again. All right, guys, I got about 7 minutes. Let me see. Let me see. It does it all the time. I can't control it. Michaela Lizardo said, Alex, do you think the marketing analyst job market is saturated? I think the data world in general is saturated and it has been for the past 10 years. It's always saturated. You just have to find ways to market yourself, find a way to work with a recruiter. You got to really hustle and grind. That's just the tech world, and it kind of has been like that for the past 5+ years at least, at a minimum. So yeah, it's everything's always going to be saturated. If you let that stop you, though, you're never going to make it. You just have to push through that. Sujoy Das said, I missed the initial part. He said, hi, Alex. I missed the initial part of the session. No worries. You can go back and watch all this. I've answered a lot of really great questions today. A lot of really, really good questions. Mario said, how easy is it to transition between PL SQL and T SQL? Are there benefits to learning one over the other? Just different flavors, man. Just a different flavor ice cream. It'll still fill that belly and make you happy. My wife liked that one. No, both are great, right? Both are great. Whether you're using an Oracle database, PostgreSQL, SQLite, MySQL, there's so many different flavors. They all do the majority of stuff. T SQL and PL SQL as well have just other syntaxes, other things that are in there. So no, I don't think there's a massive benefit. I personally know several different flavors of SQL, and I put them all on my resume. I think that's helpful. Let's keep going. Zane said, hi, Alex. Do you think the official Microsoft PL300 Power BI certification is worth it? I think if there is a job that you're wanting, or in your company they know Power BI, I think the Power BI certification is actually pretty good. Tableau also has a data analyst certification that I think is pretty good. So both of those certifications are pretty good if you want to be on the more data visualization side. I didn't find it needed or useful for my job hunts ever, but it definitely could be. Definitely could be for you. Dang, Matthew's out here deleting people. Watch out. He's not deleting people. I mean, you still have a YouTube account. He's deleting messages. He's on it, man. Don't mess with Matthew. What machine do you use for your job? I have an HP Omen. It's a gaming laptop, but it processes things really fast, has a really fast processor. And it's really good for also all of my content creation. So like when I make videos and stuff, it's good for that too. But it's also really good when I'm working with like Python and stuff, because it has a good memory. It has a really fast processor. And so I'm able to do exactly what I need on it. But I know a lot of people who use Macs and who use Dells and all sorts of laptops. I think what's just important is a good processor, enough RAM. I recommend 16 at a minimum, 16 gigabytes, because 8 is not enough from like memory and stuff. And then like, you're gonna need storage, but you can always get like an external hard drive or something. That's just a tangent. This is a small tangent. Let's keep going. I gotta plow through some of these. Can you review my resume? And I used to do this. So back when my channel was smaller, I used to have anybody could send me a resume and I would review it and just send them back feedback. And I loved doing that. I really did. It was great because I like doing that for people. Unfortunately, as my channel's grown, I get like 10 of those a day. And I have a full-time job, I have 3 kids. I got a lot on my plate. So I don't have the time to do that anymore. I really wish I could. I just don't have the time anymore to do that. So Halego, I don't know. Are guided projects useful in my resume/project, or should I build every project from the ground up? If you've never built a project before, do guided projects. That's how you learn how to do projects. It's a skill. Knowing how to build something from scratch is a skill. You can't just start doing it. So I highly recommend doing guided projects to learn these skills and then go and try to build your own. But guided projects, yeah, add them to your resume and then replace them as you build your own better ones. Let's see. Lyrics, data changes lives. I got a job as a fintech analyst after going through your course. Congratulations, that's fantastic. So someone was just asking that earlier. Can you get a job as a data analyst just going through your course? There you go. He said, what advice can you give to me, please? My advice is, this is something that we actually mentioned earlier, but just go in and try to learn as quickly as you can their databases, get to know people on the team, and sorry, something distracted me. Get to know the people on your team, and then after about a month or two, start looking for ways to improve their processes, whether it's automation, whether it's decreasing the manual work, whether it's reducing how many spreadsheets you're using, consolidating, whatever you can do to improve their processes and make their lives easier. That shows a lot of value, a lot of value. Matthew's out here just, he's getting it. Don't mess with Matthew today. He's on it, I can tell. What? Matthew's my moderator. People are just spamming questions, and he's on it. He is on it. Let me see. Looking good.
It's almost daytime.
Yeah.
People better get their questions in.
Yeah, this.
Quickity quick.
Yep. It's daytime. Now you're getting a little too comfortable on stream. Can I be honest?
Sorry.
A little too comfortable. All right. I'm going to answer like 2 or 3 more questions and I'm going to get going. GB19, hey, you don't have to keep donating. You can just ask questions, but thank you. I appreciate it. Can you freely share Power BI projects like Tableau? It's always a tough thing to share Power BI projects. There is a way to do it, but I can't remember how to do it off the top of my head. There is a web-based version of Power BI, but you need like a Microsoft account in order to do it. I can't remember off the top of my head how to do it, but there is. Google it, ask ChatGPT how to do it, how to do it for free without paying for it. But yeah, I'm like 98% sure there is. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Mark Thomas said, hey, Alex, I'm sorry I missed a stream. Supply chain major seeking to enter data analysis, but seek to find mentors first. Is this a good idea? What's coming up for you? So mentorship is always a good idea. I mentored random people that I met online, like through my YouTube channel. I mentored people for 2 years. And I can really honestly say that a mentorship helps so much, but it's hard to find a good mentor. I don't offer mentorships anymore because I have my full business and YouTube and everything. So it takes up a lot of my time. But I would recommend if you know somebody personally, just ask. Just say, hey, I'm thinking about going into data analysis. Could I just ask you some questions? And then in that course, maybe you could ask them if they would kind of be a little bit more hands-on, be able to talk with them once a week for like an hour. Just somebody who can talk you through the process, walk you through what it's really like. Absolutely. And what's coming up for me? I don't have any mentorship. On mentorships, nothing. On mentorships, nothing. All right, let me see if I have like one more question. All right, Matthew's got the Lenovo Pro 7i. All right, last question, and somebody who donated, so I can't not answer it because I feel bad. Michaela Lizardo, which I answered one of your questions earlier. Tip on how to get better at data visualization. Data visualization is a skill like any other skill. What's really tough about data visualization that most people don't know is most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, you are not just taking the data from a database, putting it into Tableau, and then creating visualization. Most of the time, you are bringing it into Tableau. Then you're creating all these extra columns based off other columns. Then you're, transforming the data a little bit. You're maybe pivoting the data. It depends. You're just saying data visualization, but like especially with Power BI, there's a whole system that you have to learn. Actually visualizing the data, it really comes down to what you're trying to do. You want to make it as simple for somebody to understand as possible. And so once you start picking up on those things, which is, oh, I don't want to use a bar chart here. I need to use a line chart, or I need to use a scatter plot. Understanding what types of visualizations are useful, really important. And then taking a step back and looking at it and saying, then this is a question that I used to always ask myself. I would look at a visualization and I would say, if I did not know anything about this stuff, could I come look at this visualization and understand it? If I couldn't, I need to add more things or I need to change something around. So that's probably one of my biggest tips, or a few of my biggest tips around data visualization. Understand the different types of visualization, how it conveys the information, and then make sure that it's easy enough for anybody to understand. Anybody coming in to understand it. Now that is my last. My wife has a question that's in the chat. What's the question? Michael Brown. Oh, she said Michael Brown. Here, come over here.
Michael Brown, it's right.
All right, Michael, my wife is telling me to answer this question. This is the last question. I'm a data analyst in the United States Air Force, 4 years of experience. Thank you for your service. Really appreciate it. I don't currently have my degree, but I'm working on it. Do you think with my experience, it would be enough to overlook not having a degree for a civilian job? If you're a data analyst in the United States Air Force, that is experience. And in fact, you might even have a leg up on other people because you're military. And in the United States, people love the military. And so, you find a company that likes the military, you're going to get hired for sure. So what I would do, and I have a lot of family in the military, transitioning into civilian life is very different, right? Totally different than like being in the military, having the structured way of life, and now just being like a regular civilian data analyst. I would just recommend, reaching out to contacts. I know they have programs in the military as well that help you transition, which may be something that you look at. But try to work with recruiters, reach out to your network online, reach out to other people who were in the military and got out. I think you have a lot of opportunities of people to reach out to help you get jobs directly. That military bond definitely goes deep for a lot of people. And so I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for your service. I really hope that you're going to send me a message on like LinkedIn or, Instagram or something soon telling me you landed a job. I would be super happy to hear that. All right, guys, with that being said, that is it. That's all of it. If you didn't hear earlier, go check out LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram. I made like a little sneak announcement about Analyst Builder. Go check that out. And thank you to everyone who's sponsored or who's a member of the channel, who joined it and is supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate you guys. You guys make this happen. And so, oh man, have I been showing this much the whole time? My goodness. But I'm going on a date with my wife now, and so kind of taking a little siesta on the Friday. But thank you guys so much for joining. I hope I was able to answer all your questions. If I wasn't, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'll try to answer it as quickly as I can. And I really do appreciate you guys. I love you. I care about you. Have a good weekend. Don't work too hard. Don't work too hard. All right. With that being said, I am out of here. Bye, guys. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew's a rock star today. Thanks, Matthew. All right. Bye, guys.